Alright, so today we're about to make some tortillas.
Are these indigenous tortillas?
These are very indigenous tortillas, actually. These are super wild.
Your water's boiling.
Yep. Turn that off. We don't need that hot. So, how's everybody doing? It's a regular day here in Hawaii. We're about to make some tortillas, alright? We in the kitchen, the indigenous kitchen. We're in Hawaii, but in my mind, I'm in Mexico. And I'm about to show you how traditional tortillas are prepared. And tell you a little bit about corn, because corn is a very special food. It really has a long history, especially with people of Mexican descent. It's not just something that we eat as part of our diet. It's much more. It's really ingrained in the culture. Corn, actually, we evolved alongside corn. Like, corn is, the way you see corn now is possible because of people from Mesoamerica who, over hundreds and hundreds of years, they basically developed corn. So they got a wild grass, and they kept season after season replanting the seeds from the best plant that they could find, the one that gave the most desirable fruits. And so over a process of about 500 years, they turned a wild grass into what you see now, which is a corn. It's a big fruit, and it comes in many different colors, many different variations, many varieties, but that was developed by humans over a long period of time. See, that was, in a way, engineering plants, but the way it is done now through a lab is very short amount of time, and they're splicing genetics. This isn't the way that it was done by the ancestors. The ancestors cultivated over long periods of time. This way you allow nature to adapt and things to fall into place rather than taking that big leap from an organism, So that's important to say, that I think when we manipulate nature, it's supposed to be, it takes a long stretch of time, right, to develop certain foods. You don't just go into a laboratory and put some foreign bacteria or DNA. You actually have a relationship with the plant, and you and your children and your children's children, all your descendants, are gonna cultivate something. So you see, like for instance, you see like avocado, like the Hass avocado, or what we have here in Hawaii called the Charwell avocado. These are like families that over many, many generations, they cultivated a certain crop. And so they made it look a certain way, they made it taste a certain way. And that took many, many generations. It's a legacy. So when you see food is a legacy of somebody's culture. The food that we see today, especially, that is commonly eaten food, it's a legacy of a culture. And so food is life, because food is culture. Food is bigger than just what you eat. Food is literally how it shapes civilizations, it shapes cultures, and it makes people do different things. Like if you eat a certain food, like you have to live it a certain way, So if you're growing corn, if corn is part of your staple, like you're gonna have a relationship with that plant specifically, and you're gonna see that plant as more than just a food. It's gonna be like a member of your family almost. It's gonna be a sacred thing that gives you life year after year. So I just want to say that a little bit about the history of corn, because corn is a really phenomenal thing. They didn't really understand where corn came from until recently, that they found a wild grass, and they, through doing the genes and the DNA, they realized, damn, like this is the wild progenitor of corn. Like this is where corn originated from. And that little thing, you see what they did with it. So, and that's a good analogy for life, man. Life will sometimes give you a little bit of something, and it's not about you receiving this grand thing, but it's about you doing what you can, the most that you can, with anything that you're given. So if you're given a little tiny thing, don't matter. That's not the point. The point is what you can do with it. what you can create and how much value you can give to the world with what you already have and what was already been given, to you. And so we have so much at our disposal. And I'm about to start. This is what I got right here. It's organic Masa, Harina. That's what we call it. But it's a corn flour. But here's the thing. They discovered that they needed to mix corn with something, dried corn with something, because they needed to break down some of the components that's in the food, in the corn. And so, let me close this window real quick. And so they I don't know how they did it, but they realized that if they mix hydrated lime, which is a mineral, it's a rock, and they mix it with water, and then they mix that with the corn, it broke down some of the compounds that made the corn hard to digest. So when the Europeans came to Mexico, what is now Mexico, and they took the corn back to their land, they were getting sick and they were developing all sorts of digestion issues because they didn't have the lime. They weren't putting the lime in the flour, so therefore it wasn't digesting well in their system. So they were smart enough to use their environment. That's why I talk about the 5 food kingdoms, and one of the kingdoms being the elements. This is where lime comes from. Lime is a mineral. It comes from the earth. It's a part of the earth. And they use that part of the earth and mix it with the plant kingdom. And they produce a food that is edible, Yeah, this is a good brand. They have flour, and what we use traditionally is like not organic, But I just like to go the extra step, even though, you never really know when you're buying food, like what has been done to it. But I just feel like if they went to the trouble of getting it organic certified, they're just a little more conscious of how they prepare that food, So that's why I like to get organic and to support organic farming. And even further than that, there's more, biodynamic, wild food. There's many more levels to that. But at the basic foundation of what I want to support is organic, So this is organic corn and then hydrated lime. It's literally 2 ingredients, but the hydrated lime is, you can't really see it. Plus it's backwards. But the hydrated lime is very important because that's what's going to make it more digestible, and that's what's going to allow, like if you keep eating this, it's not going to taste the same if it doesn't have the lime in it. I can tell you can go get some cornmeal or some corn flour, and if it doesn't have the lime in it, it's not the same. Trust me, I tried it because I accidentally got some corn flour that didn't have the lime in it, and it did not create tortillas. Like it was something else. It just didn't taste right. So you gotta know how to process food. That's another thing about food that people don't realize. Like you have to know how to process food. We talk about like don't eat processed food, but all of the indigenous people, all the ancestors, they all process food in some way. Processing isn't necessarily a bad thing, but you want to process the food yourself. That way you know how it was processed. You know what I'm saying?
Well, Rambo, and I'm right here. How did you learn how to make tortillas?
Oh yeah, that's a good question. So YouTube. Well, really growing up, like my mom, she made tortillas. She made fresh tortillas like almost with every meal.
Really?
Like literally, she would be making the tortillas and rolling them out, and she would not sit down until we finished eating because with tortillas.
Well, who's we?
Me, my brothers, my father, my family.
Well, how many brothers do you have?
It's an interview now. Okay,
Yeah, people don't know.
So I use 2 cups of corn flour, harina. All right, don't forget, don't get just corn flour. Get harina. Get it with the hydrated lime in there. Yeah, with my family, I have 3 brothers. We all men.
And a dad.
But my mom was the only female in the house, and she made tortillas, and like almost with every meal, fresh tortillas, nothing like it.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can buy tortillas at the store, but it's just not gonna be the same. Like
Yeah.
something like a warm, fresh tortilla.
Yeah.
And so she wouldn't really sit down until we were done eating, because with the tortillas, you kind of want them fresh. Like as soon as you kind of like let them sit too long, like it just doesn't taste the same. So she would literally make tortillas until we were all done eating.
And isn't that awesome now that you have a family of your own? You're making tortillas for us, but you don't you don't wait till I'm finished eating, but you still make homemade tortillas, and that's awesome.
Yeah. So it's like a tradition, you know. And my mom, I'm sure she got it from her mom, and her mom got it from. This goes way back. Like I'm telling you, food is deeper than just what you put in your body. It's culture. It's tradition. It's lessons, and there's so much in the food that we eat. That being a part of that, growing and harvesting it, processing it, making food with it, that is gonna change your perception of life more than anything. Like you could change your diet, but if you ain't doing all those things as a part of the process, it's not gonna have as great as an effect. I feel like the closer I get to the earth and to the nature and to that whole process, I feel like it just opens up something within us that we'll never truly be able to understand until we take part of it. You know?
That's true.
It's like just something. It's like an ancestral lineage. Like damn, like if something activates in you, like this is a whole process to this. It's a whole different world than just going to a grocery store and picking it out. It's just giving you the opportunity to connect with something much bigger than yourself, your local community, something that's all inclusive nature. You know.
Okay.
But thanks for those questions. Okay, so I got the 2 cups of flour in there, and so you want to use really hot water. So I actually heated this up for this. I'm gonna put some salt in there, actually, a little bit of salt. And I'll just eyeball it. Sometimes, you know what?
Can you put like herbs in here?
Yes, that's what I was about to say. Sometimes I'll put herbs in there. Just because I like to, any chance I get, to include herbs, because herbs is something that you want to be eating throughout the day, throughout your meals, that you want to have it sprinkled in everything, because that's a component that we don't often get in our food, you know.
Now, do you put dry herbs or the fresh herbs? Does it matter? Or
I mean, I put dried herbs in this one, but I'm sure it does matter because. Oh god, I thought it was crying. Because the fresh herbs are gonna have some moisture in there, and they're gonna just be a more consistency is gonna be different, you know. So yeah, just put like a half a teaspoon of salt, sea salt, or no, that's not sea salt. That's Himalayan salt. But say y'all are so sweet to watch. I don't know. She just came over here to interview me.
No, I came here to be a part.
But it's good because like I wanted to talk about this stuff, and I be forgetting because I be going on tangents. So some of the tools you're gonna see, you need one of these. I mean, you don't need it. You can roll them out by hand, but this is something that I use to press tortillas, and that press don't really work that well. I don't know, but then I finished rolling it out with a rolling pin. So with a rolling pin. So yeah, I used 2 cups of the flour, half a teaspoon of salt, and I'm about to do 1.5 to 2 cups of very warm water. You want it to be very warm, you know. You want it to be hot, actually, hot water, you know, because that's gonna start the cooking process. Gonna start the process of it, turning into a tortilla. Somebody said, "What is Zen doing with the noise?"
Zen over there playing.
I know, so that's 1 cup. I'm about to mix that, start mixing that, you know. And then you could do this with your hands, you know, that's how I seen it. My grandma, my mom, they just get in there with their hands. But, you know, since I'm touching other stuff in the cell phone.
Look at Rambo's body. He getting fit.
Getting fit. I went from thick to fit. All right, yeah, you just do a little bit at a time because you don't want to get it too wet. I mean.
That's what she said.
Yeah, I swear for that. I mean, in this particular context, when making tortillas, you don't want it too wet, but you know, you want it a certain consistency where it'll roll up into a ball nicely, but it won't fall apart, but not too mushy, you know. So yeah, this is a different kind of dough. This dough, you know, it's not the kind of dough that's gonna rise. But, that's already smelling good. It's just something about tortillas. Let me get that.
God is lovely. She laughed and said, "Fit or fit."
All right, so yeah.
You really got me. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Once you got it like that, you'll see it starts kind of clumping together. you know, and so you can just go at it with your hands at this point. Yes, it's a very simple recipe. There's nothing to it. The part I would say is again the water ratio, right, and then forming the tortillas.
Lena said she seen Rainbow getting cut. I didn't want to be the first to say it. That's okay. I'm secure with myself.
Yeah, so you just this is kind of a little dry, so I'm putting
You put a little water. Yeah. Now I will say that you got me liking corn tortillas with my meals, because before I didn't like that. Because especially I know any black people that's in the room, you know, our mom is not making the corn tortillas. If we were lucky, she might have made homemade rolls and biscuits, but that's on a good day. So I think that was awesome that you said your mom would do this every day for you guys. It was like it was just a part of the meal.
Yeah, exactly. And when people think about tortillas, I feel like they usually think about flour tortillas.
And we think about like Mexican food, like tacos and burritos. That's the only time you should be eating.
Oh yeah.
And that's just
that's the thing. Like Mexican people, like we eat tortillas like it's a biscuit or a bread, like non-bread for the different cultures around the world. That's what our thing is. Tortillas with every meal, no matter if it's a soup, if it's rice and beans, if there's some meat in there, you know.
Yeah.
It's all gonna require tortillas because you just pick it up. It's like your utensil.
Yeah.
I don't really like to use like a fork or a spoon, like if I don't have to. Like
I know it's true you don't, but you know some cultures they say it's disrespectful to use a fork or spoon. You eat with your hands.
Yeah, of course. So it's all cultural, you know, and so this is how I grew up, you know. So see how this formed a very nice ball, and so now you're just gonna pinch this. This is gonna be your main thing, and you're gonna pinch like a ball of it, and then just kind of roll that out.
Hey everybody, come to the room.
This is a technique I remember my mom, so vividly. My mom doing this, and we use. So you see that turns into a perfect little round ball, and then this is what you're gonna press. So I'm just gonna roll these things. Well, sometimes I'll roll out a couple, and then just show you guys just to
so they can see.
Just so you can see. Yeah, and so most people are familiar with like flour tortillas, but corn is the traditional, really the traditional. Like we didn't have flour until Europeans came over here and brought that crop with them. Before that, we were eating corn. You know, we didn't have the grains that we have now. But now flour, we do eat flour. Like that's part of our like flour tortillas are also part of the culture now, but we use them differently in different contexts. Like if you go to Mexico, you know, when we were in Mexico, they got tortilla factories. Not even factories, just like little tortilla stores. They're just pumping out tortillas all day because the culture, that's all that we eat, like all day. If anything, you could bet that we're going to have tortillas.
Yeah, like when we was in Mexico, you know how in the States you see a McDonald's on every corner? In Mexico, you see a tortilla shop on every corner. Like sometimes you see it right next door to each other because they really love tortillas.
Yeah. Somebody said that they had somebody. I used to work with a guy who brought corn soft shells to work every day and ate it like regular bread with all his meals. I had never seen that before because I only usually eat them with
Exactly. I'm the same way. Only one. I'm like.
Yeah, and I want to say something about that because, like, yes, that's interesting that she says soft shell. Like, because to me, tacos are with what you just said, soft shell, like regular tortillas. Like hard shell is like a American Mexican type invention. Like we don't eat hard shell.
That's true.
Hard shell tortillas. Like we all our tortillas in the soft.
Taco Bell got us messed up, y'all.
Yeah. So like you go to Taco Bell and Del Taco, like that's American Mexican food. Like they took Mexican food and they did like an American spin on that, but that's not a traditional Mexican way to eat tortillas, like in the hard shell. All right, so
you want me to bring the? Are you going to?
I'm just gonna roll a couple of them out, just so they can see the process. So what I do is I I have this thing, and basically I cut out 2 pieces of wax paper, so just so it's easy to get off and it won't stick. And I just put this down here, press it down a little bit, and then put this one on top, and then boom, you just press it down. And then see with this one, I don't know why it doesn't really press it all the way down, so I want it a little bit bigger than that because it's kind of thick as it is right now. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna get this rolling pin and roll it out a little bit. Turn it, boom, roll it out. All right, so now what you have is that. And so it's a tradition that this skillet isn't hot. Well, you want it to get to where when you throw water on it, that the water dances on there.
Oh, I like that.
So once the water dances on it, that means it's hot enough for the tortillas. And so just take it off of this, boom, just throw it on the stove. And it's just that simple, man. It's super simple. Yeah, so this is something that we traditionally Mexicans, we eat with every meal, with most meals I should say, we eat tortillas, and that's just part of the culture. And you kind of grow up that way, and you kind of want to continue to do that just because that's what you know.
Come here.
So I hadn't had tortillas in a long time because I was when I was raw vegan and shit, I hadn't had tortillas. I was always trying to recreate my mom's dishes in a raw vegan way, and it was challenging. I did some really good things actually, but with the dough, with the tortillas, you gotta cook it, man. You gotta cook the corn. It's just not gonna digest well. It's not gonna process well if you don't heat it to a substantial amount. So yeah, ever since I started eating cooked food, and I just kind of been opening up my diet again, I've been going back to a lot of foods that I used to eat, and then just working with them and making them the healthiest that I can possible, because I still have principles when it comes to food. I still believe that you should eat food that's like organic, that's local, and you should be processing it yourself. Look at that mosquito. But I'm more open now. Like, I tap into all the kingdoms. That's why I made the 5 food kingdoms, because that is just me sharing with the world, like, look what is out here. Like, we close ourselves off too often, but look, our ancestors, they tapped into all of this, and I think that we have a misconception that in order to, let me flip these tortillas, in order to preserve nature, we feel like we just gotta leave it alone. But it's the opposite. If you want to preserve nature, you have to have a relationship with it, meaning you have to interact with it. You have to be there, because once you become a part of it, that's self-preservation is what's gonna preserve nature, because you rely on it and it gives you everything you need. Then that's what's gonna fuel you to want to preserve nature. Not being in your house and staying away and just thinking about it, but actually going out there and being a part of it. I think that's the key to preserving nature, is to becoming more intimate with it and with that whole process. The coronavirus is getting serious. Talk about it. I don't think it's getting serious. Like, the research I've done and what I've seen, it hasn't really hit a level where. Here's the thing: people die of the flu all year, every year, but we don't talk about it, and that's a lot more numbers than the coronavirus. But I just don't like to be swayed by fear and news. And every time the news is getting too hype about something, I know that it might be because they're trying to distract us from something else. So I just stay conscious about that, and also understanding, like, look, if this shit does get out of control, the best thing I could do is not to worry, because worrying is just going to lower my immune system, which is going to lower my ability to fight off any chance that I could fight off the virus. So it's like, why would I stress out about that? I think the key is to maintaining balance and understanding that, look, the best thing you could do is just be your healthiest self and have a healthy mindset and not be worrying about that, because that's going to just allow you to repel that or not get that virus in the first place. The people who are worrying and stressing out, it's like, what good is that doing? You know, you just sitting on a rocking chair, rocking it, but you ain't getting nowhere. You know, and so that's just how I look at it. And plus, it's just so many things out there that we don't know. Like, we just go on TV and we go on the internet and we see what people are saying and we take that for face value, but there's always more things going on beneath the surface. And just understanding, having trust in nature, like that's what I go back to. I trust nature and the natural process. People don't like what comes along with nature and the natural process, but I'm okay with that. I've made peace with the fact that I'm part of a cycle that includes life and death. I've made peace with the fact that, you know, we come into this realm and then we leave this realm, and I made peace with all that. So that allows me to just be embracing nature, to use nature as what I really believe in, because everybody says they believe in nature, but when shit hits the fan, they in the doctor, they in the hospital, the first chance they get, because they don't really trust nature. They rather trust the system that they've been born into. There's nothing wrong with it, but I just, for me personally, I trust what got us here. I trust what allowed humans as a race, as a people, as a beings to exist today. And that's what I try to live by, because I feel like that's a sustainable method. That's a sustainable practice. I don't think actually what we have is sustainable long term, because we haven't seen it long enough. I don't think that some of these diets are sustainable, because we don't really understand that. We haven't seen generations and generations of people practicing that. So what I value and what I respect and honor and continue to embrace, while still being open to the things of this modern world, because I'm on social media, because I don't want to close myself off to what's happening, but also want to maintain certain principles and traditions that affect me in a deeper way, you know. So yeah, that's what I think about the coronavirus. What time is it there? It's 5:10. All right. How many tortillas you want?
So 3.
You gonna eat more than 3?
I know. You know why you ask?
Why you trying to be modest in front of the camera? I just 2 is fine. Like, you about to fuck up like 5, 6 of these.
Whatever.
Yeah, but almost here in New York, everyone will go crazy. Yeah, so you kind of get to see where people's mind is at and how little control they have over themselves, you know, and their own mental state. That somebody can just come and tell you something and it kind of takes your peace away. But like the owner, the guy here, you know, he's been constantly pressing me like, oh, like this coronavirus, because he's from China, you know, so he's watching the Chinese news and he's really feeding into all of that, and he's telling me like, this shit is serious, like you got to go get some face masks. And I'm like, all right, sure. I just, you know, just to calm his nerves, but we're not stressing out about that shit. Like, for what? We just out here doing the only thing we can do, which is, you know, to be as healthy as we can and to stay mentally healthy and fit for any situation. So, yeah, it's just, I try not to let stuff like that. I like to stay informed, but sometimes the information that we get informed with isn't legit, or it has a sinister purpose, or it's for somebody's agenda. So you got to be careful with that too. Just go out and you know, plant some herbs, or go harvest some wild plant, or go fishing, or go do something that's going to connect you with the part of nature. You know, that's going to be medicine for you. But rather than sitting in front of TV watching the news and worrying about stuff that you can't control, you know. So yeah, I just want to get on here. I'm about to finish these up and get ready to eat because I'm hungry. So I'm about to kick into overdrive and just pump these out. But I just wanted to get on this and share with you guys like the gist of how I make tortillas de maíz. It's corn tortillas. It's just corn flour with the hydrated lime. We call it harina. A little bit of salt and some water, and boom, roll that out into a tortilla. Put it on your skillet and eat it with some beans and rice, eat it with some tacos, eat it with some soup, roll it up. What we do is we roll it. Let me show you what we do when we eat tortillas with soup. You go like this, fold this right here, and this one's not really rolling too well, so it's kind of thick, but the gist of it is that we roll it into a little. Yeah, the ones you get at the store are more, just roll it into something like that, and then you just kind of, you bite that with your soup, and you kind of eat it like bread. But just want to share with you guys today that, and share this hat that I made myself when I was outside in the garden, and I just wanted to be extra. I want to be extraordinary. Yeah, so if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out. You can taste it
with the soup.
Oh yeah. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Turn the. Okay, so he's gonna taste it with the soup. Okay, hold on. Get a big old spoon so they can see. Look at that.
So is your soup, what is it called?
It's called Super Duper Chunky Vegetable Stew.
That's it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Only one Jasmine said do more cooking lives.
Oh yeah, I will. Herbs tastes really good. So then you just take that, follow it up with the tortilla. It's a perfect combination. I'm telling you, you gotta try it. This is really good. The herbs are delicious. It just tastes like it's just a good soup. Like there's like a lot of flavors in there, and the herbs are fresh. It just got an essence to it that you can't replicate by going out to get it in the street.
And then he made his homemade tortillas with love, y'all. I'm so excited. And we look, Rambo hungry. He was like, one more time. Don't burn your mouth. And so then what we'll do, we'll eat it with avocados. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's another story.
Yeah, he loves avocados.
One day I'll do it live and make guacamole and talk about the avocado and the history that it has with Mexican people.
Oh, that sounds really exciting.
All right. Well, we're about to go. Thanks for watching. As always, what do we say? Stay balanced.
Stay balanced, and we love you.
Peace.